Limpy has an idea. Now Limpy, who had been watching and listening, went over to Mooloo and woke her up. When she heard the story, she almost cried. "We've got to do something," said Limpy. "But what can we do?" asked Mooloo. "Well," said Limpy, "I'm not so lame as I've made believe. I can do that plowing as well as any other horse. And there's a collar on that old plow in the corner. I'm going to do the plowing." "You know," said Mooloo, I've been giving only about a cupful of milk. I was too lazy to chew my cud, that's why. But I'll chew my cud 30 hours a day before I'll let that mean man take any of us." "What's the matter?" crowed Duty. "Hush," said Limpy. "People will think it's time to get up before they've gone to bed." Then Splop came tumbling over to see what had happened. She was so noisy about it that she woke up Mimkin and Chuck-Luck. But not Pugwug. That pig could sleep through anything. "Say," said Splop, "if that old thunderstorm ever tries to take me away from Mr. Penny, I'll butt him so high that he'll never come down." "Don't talk nonsense," said Limpy. "We damaged his garden and we have to pay. What work do you choose?" "I don't choose any," said Splop. "But if it has to be done, I'll clean out those old stones." "I'll clip the lawn," said Mimkin. "I'll eat that bitter feed so I can lay bigger eggs and more of them," said Chuck-Luck. Splop shook her horns in front of Duty. "What good is a rooster without any tail?" she teased. "All he can do is eat bugs." That gave Limpy an idea. Duty could follow the plow and save all the worms. Mr. Penny never had enough worms at his stand outside the fence for the men who came from the city to fish. "Well, come on," said Splop. "Let's go." Limpy looked through the hole. Mr. Penny had fallen asleep with his head on the table. Limpy looked out of the window. Everything was black. So then he let Splop run ahead to open the gate, and forgetting he'd ever felt lame, Limpy hurried to get the plow. He pushed his head through the collar. "Oh, I almost forgot," he said. He went over to Pugwug and woke him up. "I need something heavy to hold the plow down. Come!" And out they went, into the dark, all but Mooloo and Chuck-Luck, who stayed behind, one to chew her cud and the other to eat her feed. All through the night, Mr. Penny sat by his table and painfully tried to think. Whenever he fell asleep, his dreams woke him up. When morning came, he still didn't know how to save his animals. He went back to look at them. "All sleeping except Mooloo and the chickens," he said to himself. "But they don't act sick. They must be feeling better." He put his stool down beside Mooloo and started to milk. "Mooloo!" cried Mr. Penny after a few minutes. "Instead of a cupful of milk, there was a pailful!" He jumped up and threw his arms around Mooloo's neck. "Good, Mooloo! If you only knew how much I need this milk! I'll take my neighbor more than he said, and there's plenty for me and some to sell besides." The chickens were squawking and crowing, trying to make him look. He went to see if by chance Chuck-Luck had laid an egg. Stooping down, he looked closely at something in the straw. An egg as large as a goose could lay, and a canful of beautiful worms. Mr. Penny picked up one chicken under each arm and danced around. He hugged them so hard that they squawked to get down. Mr. Penny cooked the egg to put in his dinner pail. Then he ran out and put the worms on his stand where he sold them like newspapers. They were 2 for a penny or 5 cents a dozen, and he left a box on the stand for the money. Next he put part of the milk into his newest tin pail and went up the hill to deliver it to his neighbor. When he knocked timidly at the back door, the neighbor came out and said, "Well, old man, I see you have a lot done already. If you work as fast every night as you did last night, you'll have it all done before the new moon." Mr. Penny looked around to see what the man was talking about. The grass on the lawn was clipped short, a big pile of stones had been cleaned out from the pasture land, and in the fields was a long stretch of newly plowed earth. "He must think I did it," thought Mr. Penny, but before he could open his mouth, the neighbor had gone in and shut the door. "Do I dare knock again to tell him?" said Mr. Penny to himself. He stood there trying to decide. Then came the first shriek of the factory whistle. "No," he said, "I'll go to my job. I can keep my family 1 day more." "I can't understand it all," he kept saying to himself as he trudged across the fields. "Somebody's been doing that work. But only goblins and witches and fairies do their work in the night when no one can see. And the milk! And that egg! And where under the sun did those worms come from? But surely I'm not daydreaming. I'm awake. But surely I'm not dreaming. I'm awake, or I wouldn't be sniffing the flowers and feeling a stone in my shoe." The next morning, everything happened just as it had the day before. More milk, another great egg, a handful of beautiful worms, and 2 times as much work done at the neighbor's. "Well, old man," said the neighbor as he took the milk, "you worked faster last night than before. You'll have the damage paid for before the new moon." And again, before Mr. Penny could open his mouth, the neighbor shut the door. "Well, I'm jigsawed to a puzzle," said Mr. Penny as he trudged off to his job in the factory of Wattle. "Jigsawed to a puzzle. It must be the goblins and witches and fairies who are helping me out, though I never believed in them before. Goblins and witches and fairies and things."